Good afternoon, everyone. This is Pet Sarmiento, your new ACE RMO recruitment consultant, and I'd like to welcome everyone for today's webinar hosted by Whanganui Hospital. So before we proceed, I just want to remind everyone that this is a recorded webinar, and in case that you have questions, you can put your questions in Q&A function of the Zoom, or if you would like to ask questions live, you can just use the raise your hand function. And then I just want to encourage everyone that if you'd like to ask questions live, if you can please make it clear and concise. Before we start, is there anyone who's going to do the karakia? Okay, yeah. So there you go.
Tēnā tātou, ngā mihi ki tātou, and greetings to everybody this afternoon. Aio kia rangi nui e tui o nei, aio kia papa e takato ake nei. Peace and tranquility to the heavens above, peace and tranquility to our Mother Earth. Aio ki ngā waka pakaru me ngā whanaunga kua riru I te pō, o me mai rā oki atu rā, aere atu rā. I'd like to take the time for those of our loved ones who have passed on to show our love and respect for them by remembering them at this moment. Kuri no kia tātou katoa te hongo ora, now time to turn to us the living of this day. Tēnei au te mihi ki koutou rā, ko tai mai nei I runga te reo karanga o te rā. It is my job here as a descendant of the Whanganui River to welcome you all, especially to this afternoon, so that we can throw out the fishing line with a big fat piece of bait on to bring you in to work at our hospital here in Whanganui. Ko reira ngā mihi ki tātou katoa, ko Ruapehu te mauna. Ruapehu is our ancestral mountain. Whanganui te awa. Whanganui is our ancestral river. Te Ātihau nui a Pāparangi, te iwi, our ancestral name is Te Ātihau nui a Pāparangi. O reira, ka nui te mihi, ka tuku te aroha ki a koutou rā, e wakarongo ki ngā kōrero. To those who have joined us today, again, welcome to you for listening to what we have to offer you for the next 45 minutes. That was a guess. O reira, koutou rā, tēnei au te mihi, tēnā tātou, kia ora mai tātou. I'll just take another couple of minutes if you don't mind. I'm part of the Matuora Whanganui team, the Māori Health team, and my role is when you come to this hospital to fill a role here, you'll be coming through our educational program called Hāpai Te Hoi. So Hāpai Te Hoi is our program where we introduce all of our new staff to the hospital, to the region, and we given the opportunity to give you some history of our people here in the Whanganui area, so that you don't go out into the wards or into where you're going to work blinded by what may be in front of you. There is a history here, a long history, and those are the things that we wish to share to our new staff as they come, or trainees, as they come into this hospital. So it's called, like I said, Hāpai Te Hoi is the first round, and then we have a second round of learning, and it is called Te Wakahaurua. And Te Wakahaurua is about what we talk about in our first training session. We actually take you to those places to visit, so they're just not a lot of words, they're actually, you touch the ground where our history has come from, where it has begun. So it's about us sharing who we are as Whanganui people, so that you have a better understanding. So there are a whole lot of things that you'll probably learn this afternoon that I know a lot of hospitals around the country don't have. So we're quite specific, we're quite special in what we do here. And because we are a small community, we are able to do things a lot better, and I can say that quite proudly. Ko reira, ka nui te mihi, greetings to you all, and e noho au. It's my turn to sit down and leave it to these people on my left and on my right. Ka pai? I'll pick up my banana cake tomorrow.
Well, you can proceed with your self-introduction.
Hello there. My name is Ken Wilkins. I am the new recruitment consultant here at Whanganui Hospital. To my right is Sam Reid.
Yeah.
She's a senior medical.
Yeah, I've got a fun job title. So I'm the senior recruitment advisor for senior medical officers. So I look up after all of our SMOs, and I'm just supporting Kent with the RMO process.
I'm Georgie. I'm one of the PGY2 RMOs here. I'm here to chat to you about what our day in the life kind of looks like and what the roster looks like and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay, so we shall proceed.
So we do have another doctor joining us. She's just stuck with a patient on the ward, so she'll be here shortly.
So I wanted to show you a little bit about Whanganui and what it means to us and a few pictures of our scenery. So we have the there's an overview of Whanganui, beautiful river flowing through it. It is based around the hour, so it goes out from there. And on our next slide, we have that's where we are in New Zealand, the west coast of the North Island. Beautiful beaches, lots of adventure sports, anything you could ever ask for. That is Mount Taranaki behind. We're a community of about 5,000 people in the city, and we office and service up to about 75,000 in the region around. So, place of stunning natural beauty, centrally located, thriving culture and art scene, and Whanganui is a great place for work-life balance. Whanganui, and we have an abundance of outdoor adventure. So we keep heading up the river. We're within moments, an hour of Mount Ruapehu, skiing, if you're into skiing, 3 golf courses in the town, and yeah, so whatever you're into, we can cater for that. That is the Mount Ruapehu, within an hour and a half to 2 hours, 2 ski fields. So if skiing's your thing, we've got it. We have a very good art scene, glass blowing, rowing on the river. A lot of everything comes from the river. And if you do want to carry on in Whanganui, cost of living is pretty good. And why choose Whanganui Hospital? So we can give you a hands-on experience. Smaller hospitals, where you have more opportunities to talk to consultants and deal one-on-one with them. Supportive environments. Whanganui is a small place, so everyone's there. We've got a very supportive culture, and we have a wide range of pathology and cases that you can get amongst.
So hopefully everything Kent said is true. Do you want to give us your experience?
Yeah, sure.
If you were in a bigger place before here.
Yeah. So I was working in Wellington region last year as a PGY1, and I felt like although I really like Wellington as a city, working at the hospital there, I didn't really get as much opportunity to do actual doctor work, and you feel more like a glorified admin or clerk during the day until it hits long day or night shift, which you don't actually have that many of. Although that's really lovely for work-life balance, I didn't feel like I was learning as much as I could be, and I didn't feel very confident as a doctor. And then moving here, you're definitely thrown in the deep end, but I feel as though the people who started here at PGY1 were just so much more competent in terms of their skills, like after hours, and their confidence and their knowledge base, given that they, one, like had a lot more responsibility, and two, had a lot closer relationships with consultants, so had that one-on-one kind of teaching and a lot more opportunities to do procedural skills and go to theatre and do things that perhaps you wouldn't have the opportunity to do in a bigger centre. So although we don't have as many specialties here in Whanganui Hospital because it is small, we get to do a lot more. So it's a bit of a trade-off, and it's up to you what you're looking for in terms of your house surgeon years. But I definitely wanted to kind of get stuck into things a bit more. So I prefer it here compared to the bigger centre where I came from. In terms of a day in the life, it depends what run you're on. So I did ED first quarter coming here, which was amazing because you get to do a whole lot of stuff that you've never done before. There's always a consultant during the day who can give you some advice, and every patient who you see, you kind of run through with them, they give you feedback, and you learn on the job 24/7. You're always thinking, always learning. And so those are 10-hour shifts, and it varies week to week how many you're doing. But it felt like you got a decent break between shifts, which was nice. And then on the wards, typically you'd start around 8 o'clock on GMed, which is where I'm at the moment. And then you do your ward round after handover. Here, because it is a smaller centre, we don't have teams for medicine. I'm not sure what it's like for surgery because I haven't done surgery yet, but it means that pretty much week to week you could be working with a different consultant. So it's nice because you get to learn. They all have different special interests, so you get to see a bit of everything, and basically, yeah, just working one-on-one with a consultant every day, which is really cool because they teach you a whole lot and you get to do a lot more, which is great. I see here it talks a little bit about training, teaching and support. So teaching we have twice a week. We have Tuesday and Thursday lunchtime teaching, but that's just the compulsory teaching for house surgeons, which varies depending on who's giving it. So we've had some like general medicine kind of teaching about cardiology and things like that. But we've also had like orthopedic registrars giving us teaching, surgical registrars giving us teaching about trauma and how to manage different trauma situations. We've got some really practical based teaching, like how to put on a cast in ED and what kind of fractures not to miss in ED. So it's all a whole lot of variety. And on top of the compulsory stuff, we also get other teaching when the registrars are really keen, like ultrasound guided stuff. So it's a lot more hands-on than what I experienced last year at the tertiary centre I was working. Training wise, unfortunately, after PGY2, there aren't a whole lot of training kind of opportunities, but people do tend to stay on to gain confidence in other runs like ED, do non-training general surgical runs or orthopedic runs, because again, you're working super closely with the consultant at that time and you can learn a lot before you go to a bigger place to decide where you want to go from there. So that brings me probably to the best part of working here. So people do tend to stick around for at least like a couple of years. And because it's such a small hospital, we're all really close-knit and it feels like a big family. We all hang out probably too much, and even when you just kind of want to go home and go to bed, you're kind of forced to go and have pumpkin soup at somebody's house or hang out and debrief about your day. So it's really nice having that support, even for introverts like myself. So it's really good. And parking is free. That's a huge plus. Plus the food is not terrible. I had absolutely shocking food at hospital and I can eat like every meal here. So it's amazing. And I'm not picky, but yeah, the food here is really good. Lots of snack options as well. So yeah, that's my experience as a PGY2. Bridget, who is up on the ward, is PGY1, and she might be able to give you more background as to what it's like to start your career in a smaller centre. Hopefully she's not too far away. Yeah.
But what about Whanganui itself? When you go out to enough places for you to go out and hang out and, you know?
Yeah,
Drinks and stuff.
Yeah, more than I thought it would. Like, I came from Wellington, so in Wellington, you're very spoiled for choice
Yes.
with food and drinks and all that. But here, there's more than I thought. There's definitely a lot more cafes and things than because I grew up in Whanganui. Definitely a lot more young people and a lot more to do now than there was back then. And a lot of outdoorsy things to do, like you pointed out as well. So I think that's a huge plus. Being able to see the river and green space around you most of the time and look out the window and not just see concrete is lovely. It's really makes a difference to your day.
I've not long been living in Whanganui. I moved up from Wellington, and I think one of my favourite things about living in Whanganui is you can drive anywhere in 10 minutes. Which is incredibly nice, especially if you've just worked a long shift. All you want to do is get home. You don't have to be an hour on the bus or train. You're just home straight away, which is really nice.
Yeah, because working in the hut when I was in Wellington, you'd have to commute at least 20 minutes, and then on the way back, sometimes up to an hour, depending on where you lived. So being able to drive after a night shift just for 5 minutes to get home is a godsend. It's really nice.
Yeah, can you also discuss the selection criteria, ranking your recruitment processes on the part of the employer?
Okay, so we would require CVs with a good cover letter. And we're not only looking for the best and brightest, we're also looking for candidates that reflect our values as an organisation in Whanganui. Need to touch on things about we're very cultural in Whanganui and good references, and yeah, so there's no formal interviews, and yeah, and the runs. I can talk about the runs that we do. So we start off with usually general medicine, ATR, general surgery and orthopedics, and there's some opportunities for psych, and no night shifts in the first 6 months. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And opportunities to get into the ED in the second year.
Yeah, and then after that you can also do an anaesthetics run in PGY2, which is a huge plus because lots of places you have to put in a CV, you do an interview at bigger centres to be considered for a run like that, because it's quite specialist area. But here you just apply and usually you'll get the opportunity to do so. If not in the PGY2 year, then in PGY3 for sure, if you show an interest. And your pre-vocational supervisors here, because it's such a small hospital, are able to have quite an influence on what runs you do a lot of the time. So if you really tell them that you're super interested in something, they will try to make it work for you.
Okay.
Okay, are you done with the presentation?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Well, basically, we don't have any questions posted yet in our Q&A function, but I'd just like to ask questions on behalf of the applicants, maybe. These are the common questions that I get from the email. So some applicants would ask me if an employer has a preference over 3 references secured from 3 different placements as compared to getting 2 references from just 1 placement. Do you have any preference over that? Or it doesn't matter?
I don't think that hugely matters. You know, if there's multiple departments from one place, that's beneficial, but you know, everybody's had a different pathway to get to where they are, so we'll take that into account.
Okay. And what particular information would you like to see in a cover letter?
I think the big thing for us, as Sophia mentioned, we have a really strong culture here, because we are so small. Those more soft skills and personality is sort of what we will really be looking for. Someone that wants to learn about our culture and get involved with the culture here and the community here, and be part of the RMO community, and sort of support network. I think that's one thing that, sets us apart from other hospitals, and we're really proud of it. So we want people that want to come and join and build on that with us.
And what do you think would be your major consideration in terms of selection criteria as to making assessment and ranking?
I guess really highlighting the cultural understandings of Whanganui will carry higher ratings, an understanding of what Whanganui has to offer and why you want to come here. Yeah, really just showing us a bit more about who you are as a person.
Okay. For the RMO, or maybe it could also be answered by the employer, how difficult it is to find a house there, or is it easy to find a house should they decide to move into that specific district?
Yeah, it's really easy to find a flat here with the RMOs. So usually we have a group chat and people are coming and going. Like we get a lot of UK doctors coming here for a short time, like a year or so, and then heading off. So there's usually flats with RMOs, and we're always looking for flatmates and things like that here. So yeah, lots of opportunities, and it's much cheaper rent than bigger centres as well.
We do have a few houses that we do rent contacts in the community, so there are a few houses floating around that we can put people into.
Yeah.
Okay, there's also another question here. How many people are you accepting for next year?
I think 8 people. I think that's the number we're looking for.
So you'll be needing, sorry, 8?
8, yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I just thought of something that people might want to know as well, as with regards to the roster. So correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but for medicine and surgery runs, for actually all ward-based runs that aren't ED, usually how it works is you do 2 long days a week, and when you're not working long day weeks, you do every 3rd weekend. And that's if you're on the weekend roster. And if so, for a whole quarter, you'll either be doing weekends or you'll be doing night shifts when you qualify to do nights after your first 6 months. So when you're on the weekend roster, like I am for this quarter, you work every 3rd weekend, and you work 2 long days a week when you're not on, not shouldering that weekend that you're working. So on the weeks that you are working that shoulder that weekend, you don't do long days, because the long days are the weekend days. All right. Yeah.
And do you also consider, or do you also welcome hospital visits? And if in case that yes, how do they arrange for this?
Hospital visits?
Yeah.
Yeah, more than happy if someone wants to come have a look. I've just volunteered Kent here, so please get in touch with them.
Yeah, please get in touch with me, and we'll definitely welcome to come around and have a look and see our beautiful town.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like also to discuss as to hospitals' amenities for doctors? Such as, do they have like specific locker, a place to nap, or a place to sleep?
Yeah, so we have an RMO lounge, and we all tend to hang out there in the mornings before work and after work. And then there's a RMO sleeping room as well as a registrar sleeping room, and they're all in the same area. There aren't lockers per se, but we just all keep our stuff in the RMO lounge, which has a little kitchen and stuff as well.
Do you have any special tip for our applicants for their application, their ACE application, basing on your experience last year?
Honestly, just showing that you're really keen, and saying why you want to work here is the main thing, and, you know, understanding, like Sam said, about the cultural aspects of Whanganui, because we do have a really high, Māori and Pacific population here. So just showing that you understand that and you're willing to learn more about how to help our Māori and Pacific patients is also pretty important as well.
Okay. Seems like you're able to discuss everything. Do you have any last words or tips, advice for them from the employer side?
I think we've pretty much covered what we wanted to. We think Whanganui is a pretty special place, and I'm sure if you do end up here, we'd be more than welcome, and we'd love to have you here.
Okay.
I think
So
there's a question in the Q&A box.
Yeah, that was the question I have asked about how many people are you accepting for this year? Yeah. So since we don't have any further questions, it seems like you are able to cover everything, all information and details that you think that the attendees would need to know. We can now close our webinar. Yeah. So I'd just like to thank you guys for taking time. I know, Ken, this is your first webinar, and looking forward for next year. And at the same time, I'd like to wish our applicants the best of luck in their ACE application for this intake. Thank you guys for the time and for the effort given and support given to the ACE RMO application. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.